Hi, welcome to Helping Organizations Thrive. Today on the show, I have Rosemary Ikpeme. So welcome, Rosemary.
Thank you for having me, Julian. I'm really excited to be part of your wonderful podcast and live.
Oh, thank you. Appreciate that. And I'm glad you accepted the invitation. I was going to tell our listeners a little bit about you, and then we'll get into a conversation with you. So you are a founder and creator of MYnd Map, which you can see on the screen there. And it's a mindfulness and productivity tool to boost focus, productivity, help create a happy and fulfilled and balanced life. That's from your website. That's how you portray it. And I'm really excited by that. I'm excited about mindfulness because I know it builds resilience. But before we talk about that, I really want to let our listeners know, what do you love about what you do?
What do I love about what I do? That's a great question. And I think everyone should ask themselves this question every day, just to remind yourself of your why you're doing what you're doing. And I guess the reason I love what I do is because I wake up every day and I add value. I'm giving something back to the world. I'm helping people in some way, some shape, some form, even if it's just one person a day. It's just that I'm able to do so, and I'm so grateful to be able to do so and do it on my terms. Do it and build something that I'm super proud of. That's going to help hopefully thousands and millions of people.
Brilliant. I love that. Helping people is a thing to do, and it's become a thing. But actually, do you know what? All of us have this innate thing about helping people, and and I help people. And obviously, this podcast is about helping organizations, but ultimately people. And we're all having very strange times at the moment, and at this time, resilience is becoming even more of a not just a topic to talk about, but of a way of how can you build it. And one of the reasons I wanted you on my show is that you've got this whole piece on mindfulness, and I just want to explore a bit more about the mindfulness and why that helps with resilience. What does it do, and from your own experience and from what you've already created as well?
I think the first thing is just establishing what mindfulness is. I think there's a lot of preconception of what mindfulness is, which is this very airy nonsense that people talk about. But it is actually a very practical tool that we need to cultivate. It's a practice. It's something you do every day, something that you apply to your life every day, as opposed to something you just have or you do once and get the benefit. So mindfulness, just to give you an overview, for those who are new to mindfulness, is just the practice of being present in the moment. And by you being present in the moment, you're not judging the past, and you're not afraid of the future, which we normally characterize as stress and anxiety. You're anxious about what's going to happen in the future. You're upset about what happened yesterday, but you're not actually living in this moment, because in this moment, it's just me and you having a conversation. I don't care if I sent the wrong email yesterday, or if I'm going to get that pitch that I pitched for tomorrow. It is us having this conversation, and how can I bring my full self to this moment. And that's what mindfulness is. In terms of how you practice this, the various forms. And I think it's about exploring which form is best for you. So there's the meditation form, there's the mindfulness walking form. It can just be an activity that brings you to the moment. Some people it could be hoovering that brings them to the moment and centers and grounds them. It could be just washing the dishes. And you can practice it anytime. It's just breathing, taking a breath, and grounding yourself to this moment, as opposed to letting your thoughts run away with you. And how does that build resilience? It's just coming back to that stress and anxiety and overwhelm that we feel. And it comes from the feeling of worrying about tomorrow or stressing about what happened in the past. When you can't change that, the only thing you can change is now. And resilience, as you know it, resilience is the act of, if things are challenging, how do you face it and how do you come back stronger, right?
Yes.
And if you're dwelling in the past or worried about the future, you're not actually taking the best actions towards overcoming whatever that issue was that you want to deal with, or making the most of the present moment to move you forward. So therefore, having mindfulness and practicing mindfulness will help you be in the moment, look at the things that are happening objectively, as opposed to projecting a certain conditioning that you've had in that could be subconscious or unconscious in your mind, but actually realizing, okay, this is how things are right now, as opposed to how I feel they might be or I thought they are. These are how things are right now. What are my next best move? And through that, you're building resilience because you're getting yourself back up from perhaps something you did wrong, or you're not letting fear dictate how you act in terms of the future. So I think mindfulness is so important, be it in personal life, being in business, or just being it as a person as a whole, because it does ground you and it allows you to evaluate what's actually on your mind. Because we have so many thoughts running in our minds every day. We don't actually take time to be still and actually just take that moment to think about what we're feeling, what we're thinking. Is it productive for us right now? Is it what we really want to focus on right now? Or do we want to steer it away? Do we want to make a change? Are we heading towards our goals? Are we going away from them with what we're doing? And I think mindfulness really helps with those elements and helping get back up when we feel that life's, giving us a bit of a challenge.
Well, that's a really good explanation of mindfulness. Probably one of the best I've heard, really, in terms of summing it up. And it's interesting because I think often, certainly within businesses and organizations, we get so caught up reviewing the history of life. There's nothing wrong with reviewing things and reflecting. I'm all for reflecting, and then planning the future, strategies for the next 90, 18 months ahead. And it's interesting, we're in a time of, actually, the future is slightly even more unpredictable than ever before. And so actually, we sometimes miss the moment by not being in the moment. And, I remember my wife, because I'm very much I'm quite purposeful in what I do. And I've learned to be a lot more mindful, a lot more reflective. And often I'm there trying to get to the A to B. And she says, well, no, just enjoy the journey. And it's about the journey is the important bit, what you see, what you observe, and it's being in the present, now with you, fully present, not regardless of who's watching, listening, who's behind, as you just explained brilliantly. So what got you into this? Because we'll talk about some of the tools that you've developed, but what got you into the whole mindfulness? I mean, personally, I think it's a thing we should all get into, but how did you get into to get this sort of expertise and this journey for you?
Well, to be honest with you, I don't think I one day woke up and said, okay, I'm going to practice mindfulness. This is what I'm going to do. I did a lot of self-development all through, and I think it slowly leads you to that, reflection, taking time out to check in with yourself, self-care, which is a big aspect of mindfulness, and slowly just all connected and it all made sense. If I'm not taking care of myself, be it physically, my mental, emotional health, everything around me is going to reflect that. What's going on inside is what's going to go on outside. So if things are not going well outside, rather than actually that's actually what got me with the whole personal development. I think I had I know I had a quarter life crisis when I was in my
quarter life crisis
when I was 25 years old. No, it happens.
Really?
It does happen. I had a quarter life crisis where I had broken up with a long-term boyfriend. My relationship with my family wasn't going that well. I was in a job eager to kind of show that I'm ready to progress, but it was just not happening. My friendships were kind of in tatters at that time. And something in me, I don't know, maybe just because I've always been a high achiever and always looking for solutions. Something said inside my head, and I thought, I could point fingers at everyone else, but the ultimate, the only one thing that remains the same as myself. So I could point fingers at everyone else, but the only thing I can change is myself. And that's what started me on this journey of personal development, and which ultimately led to mindfulness. But like I said, it all adds up. It is just about, the only thing you can change in life is you. And everything else, once that changes, everything else changes around you. This is, be it in personal relationships, you can't change your wife, but if you start acting a certain way, more lovingly, more romantic, that will influence how she reacts to you. And it's the same with in the workplace. So why is mindfulness so important, especially in leadership roles? Because you attract your team and you give off the energy that you get the energy that you give off. So if you have an important meeting and you haven't taken time to maybe set the intention that you want to get out of that meeting, which is the journey, essentially, you haven't had the time to, you're stressed out about, I don't know, the figures don't just add up, as opposed to, I need to show up in this meeting. I need to give 100% of myself. I need to be open to listening to what everyone says and being curious to finding out what we can do to move forward in the best way. And I don't know if you've ever been in a meeting where you have the manager or the person who's meant to be the leader come in quite stressed and anxious, and that really changes the tone of the meeting, as opposed to someone who is collected, who is aware of this is what we want to get out of this meeting, and this is what we're going to put in, and everybody is more productive, and there's it's more focused, and everyone's happy essentially. The more happy team members you have, the more productive they're going to be. So so that's how I guess I started. It was just a journey, and it led me to where I am, and I'm super grateful for that.
And what was the attraction? I mean, obviously a lot of people do personal developments, and I'm sure we all do a lot of mindfulness. But what was the attraction that made you really hone in on it and become an expert, and then ultimately develop some tools that help people? I mean, you've taken it to another level, haven't you, in terms of your understanding and the work you do. So what else was it about it that made you think, actually, I want to go a bit further with this?
Great question. Apart from the results, because you get really great results.
Right. Okay.
You get really great results, and I think it's the sense of resilience, first of all. Resilience is key, because that meant that I could keep going. It gave me some control on my life, as opposed to letting life lead me. I was able to choose how I wanted my life to look like. And I think that's the gift I want to share with others. I want to share the gift that, yes, life is unpredictable. I think we've all experienced that this year. It's very unpredictable, but it is down to you to choose how you respond to that. And that's where mindfulness comes in. You can react to it, which means something happens and you just, oh my God, I need, just react. And that might not be the best decision for you. Or you can respond to it in terms of, this has happened. Okay, where am I now? How is it affecting me? Where do I want to go with this? Is this the right choice for me? And then make your decision. So that's why, for me, I really took it the next step further, because I could see the benefits. Yeah. And it also gave me that inner confidence and resilience that I needed to create a life where I can wake up every morning looking forward to what I'm doing.
Fantastic. That's brilliant. And you are clearly passionate about it. So it's wonderful. I love it. I love it. I love it when I meet people and they have this burning purpose, passion that's just bubbling out. They can't stop themselves talking about it, which is fantastic. I love it. No, I love it. It's great.
Thank you.
Going back to interest in the leaders bit is important, and about that, how you go into a meeting. And it's a very obvious, I mean, obviously now we're in meetings of Zooms now more than in person, but the same principles apply. What help could you offer to that leader who perhaps is rushing around, going in and being a bit potentially appearing stressed? Might not be stressed, but not in the moment. What things could they be doing differently that will really help them get more in the moment? And it's interesting because when you talk with somebody, I do a lot of coaching, obviously one-on-one, and one of the things I have to do is obviously get in the moments with that client, and that's the important thing, so that I'm fully present. I'm not thinking about anything else, because that's very important, and they feel that as well, hopefully. So what things would you offer to leaders right now to get them into that place before a meeting, say?
Well, there's a host of things we can do, but I'd like to offer some practical and easy things that hopefully people can apply straight away. And then once they see the results and see the benefits, they can then hopefully look into other elements of mindfulness that they can implement in their lives. But I think we have this notion of, oh my God, we have so much to do and not enough time, but time is all we have. So it's so important taking, even if it's just a few minutes, to breathe, because when we're in that state of busyness, anxious, overwhelmed, stressed, and sometimes we might not know we're stressed. We just think we're getting on with the work, but internally we're stressed. It's taking a few moments and just breathing. And I'm talking about really deep breaths.
Right.
And it could be from a count of 4 in and a count of 6 out. And then
that's quite a time, isn't it? In terms of breathing.
You breathe in for 4 seconds and you breathe out for 6 seconds. And then you can extend that. Maybe you breathe out for 6 seconds, you breathe in for 6 seconds, you breathe out for 8 seconds. That simple act alone brings you into this moment, because now you're not thinking about all the things you have on your list and all the meetings that you need to tick off and all the Zoom calls you need to make. Yeah. You're putting yourself into that moment. That just gives your mind a break to calibrate before you move on to the next thing. So that's one simple thing. And I know people like, I don't have the time. Time is all you do have, actually. It's up to you to decide what you use your time to do.
I like that. Time is all you have. It is. You're so true. That is so true.
So that would be one element in terms of something practical that you can implement. And I would say try doing that a few times. First thing in the morning, and a few times or more, maybe 5-6 times during the day. Maybe make it a conscious effort that before you go into a meeting, you're going to spend a few moments just doing some breath work and being in the moment. And the other thing that I think is so important, and this is something that I have in my journal, and I think a lot of people enjoy, is setting an intention, because we are rushed out our feet. We have all these goals that we need to achieve, all these figures, we need to, hit the target for this year, especially, now that everything's just up in the air. But like your wife said, it's about the journey. It's about the journey. And if you're a leader, you need to be able to influence people. And if you can't influence people, you're not going to get the best out of your team. So what kind of journey do you want to take your team on? And that is why intention is so important. So setting an intention, it could be your day's intention. It could be the meeting's intention. What is the intention of this meeting? And it also helps you focus on what you actually want to get out of the day, what you want to get out of your team, or what you want to get out of that meeting. So it could be, my intention today is to listen, to be open and to listen. And if you remind yourself during the day, before you go into the meeting, you're taking your breath and you go, okay, my intention when it comes to this meeting is to listen. So you're there, you show up fully, you're grounded in the moment, you show up fully. Your team feels that you're listening. They can feel that, they can sense that as a leader, you're listening to them. You're there in the moment. You're taking in what they're saying. You perceive them as important. What results will you get? They are more likely to contribute more. They are more motivated to do better. Get better results out of them. And that's what we all want from a leader, because you, as a leader, you need to have a certain amount of influence with the team that you're working with. And I think those two things. I mean, there's a host of other things. Go for a walk. Take a 5 minutes walk and just be in the moment. There's just so many things, but I just want to leave people with those two things that they can apply straight away and feel the benefits.
they're really good ones. I like the breathing one is a really simple one. I do that often, and it's less than a minute of your time, even that less than that, and it does, you know, just puts the brakes on and just gets you in that, I say, in the moment. That intention one I quite like. I mean, we all get obsessed by goals, objectives, all this sort of, it feels, it's where the intention is it's not as specific as like a goal, is it? It's like my intention on this conversation right now is to have a conversation with you. That is my intention.
Yeah.
And I hope that comes across when people are listening to this or even watching it right now. It's not, I want to do this and this, and obviously ultimately bring some value, but it's a conversation between two people, and through it, people listening or earwigging, they get something out of it. So I really like that intention. I think that's a really good one to have. Certainly as a meeting, rather than saying we need to get through all this meeting and have all these results, actually my intention here is to get people on side with this, or I want to listen more, or what it may be.
Curious. I think that's great. I want to be curious. I want to be open in this meeting so I can make the best decision as a leader. And also when you set that intention, it, like you said, it should align with the ultimate goal. It's just the vehicle you're using to get there. You want the ride to be fun and an adventure, creative, purposeful, or do you just want to get to this goal and feel underwhelmed, as a lot of people do most of the time?
Yeah, and it's going back to that where I have to almost, I don't always, I'd say to myself when I'm in a situation of just getting from A to B, and it could be as simple as, it could be a mundane task as shopping, for example, with my wife, which I don't particularly enjoy. If I, in fact, set my head to go, I'm just going to enjoy the journey, I actually do enjoy the journey. I might meet people I've in the street that I've not met for a while, or see something I've never seen before. And actually, if I have the intention, which is right, I never heard it said that way, of enjoying the journey.
Yes.
I will enjoy the journey. I'll get to the end goal. We will, but I'll have a far more better experience along the way, and so will my wife, because I won't be so grumpy.
Exactly. We build momentum in that sense.
Yeah, that's really good. I like that. I mean, I looked at your journal. How what else is within this journal you got? I mean, it sounds really quite powerful stuff you've got here.
It is. These are powerful techniques that a lot of really successful leaders, be it in the corporate world, be it athletes, use. And again, I say some of the techniques people who are not familiar with might think, oh my God, it's a little bit, up in the air, a little bit flimsy, whatever. But these are actually fact, science-based, proven techniques. And the way I wanted to present this in the journal is I wanted to present it in a fun and a creative way. So not in you need to know everything about each technique that you're using, but rather you're using those techniques without perhaps not knowing much about it, but you're seeing the results, and it becomes a habit. It becomes a habit then you cultivate. So a few of them that I've implemented is the color therapy, and I'll give you the science behind that. We have the left hemisphere and the right hemisphere of our brain. As we know, the left hemisphere is the logical side. It's the side that wants to keep you safe, which is absolutely perfect. It'll say to you, Julian, don't start that new business. You've got a family to take care of, or don't ride your bike on the road because you might get, So it's the one that the side of the brain that gives you the logic and gives you, keeps you safe. And the right side is the creative side, which is, actually, if you start that business, this is what you could actually do. You might be helping people. You might have more time with your family. This could be fun. Let's try this. It allows you to explore, and it's a curious side. And colors ignite the right side of the brain.
Okay.
So that's why I've implemented the coloring or the doodling element, because you're actually activating your right side of the brain. So you're making better decisions when it comes to actually setting goals and your plan of action. So you're not just using your logical side that might limit you to keep you safe, but you're also using your creative side that comes up with all the amazing possibilities and solutions that you might not have thought about.
Brilliant.
And also the visualization, it's so key. And I think this is what I would also like leaders perhaps to try, visualizing an outcome that you desire, seeing it in your mind, in your mental, in your mental mind, and going through it in detail. You can spend a few minutes, how do I want to, what is the outcome of this meeting? How do I see it? Are people laughing? Are people engaged? Are people coming up with solutions? Do we all leave this meeting with a clear focus? We know what we're all doing. That is also the element in terms of the journal. Hence, it's creative. It's allowing you to get creative. It's allowing you to explore your visualization and actually imagining. But with all that, it's about setting goals that align with yourself, because you can do all that, but if you don't know what your goal is, if you don't have a specific goal that makes you feel fulfilled at the end of the day, it's not worth it. So it's about getting back to yourself, and that's where I use the mindfulness. Let's stop a moment. Let's really reflect. I've met a lot of people, and that this is a situation I've been in, where I worked for 10 years in a particular field, and I thought I was happy and I thought I loved it. And then when I took a moment out, I just felt like something is still missing. I don't feel that this is what I need to be doing. Something is missing. But if I had perhaps checked in with myself on a regular basis, I might not have spent 10 years. I mean, I think everything happens for a reason. Maybe if I didn't, I wouldn't be here. But if I had, from now on, if I check in with myself on a regular basis, what brings me joy? What fulfills me? What do I love about this company that I'm working with? What do I want to give back? Where do I see myself in the next 3 months, 6 months? Once you start asking yourself those questions, then you can start setting goals that really align with who you are and who you want to become. And that's what the My Journal is about. Once you set those goals, and then it gives you the tools. How do you start planning that? How to become productive at actually achieving those goals without being, without burnout and being overwhelmed. So, the 80-20 Pareto principle, how to actually, pick the right things to do as opposed to do everything on your list and not have time for yourself, and then also looking at the overall picture. If I'm working myself to death, what's happening with my relationships? Am I looking after my finances? Am I looking after my health? Am I doing the things that bring me joy? Am I growing as a person? So it's kind of a holistic view of your life and where you want to go.
So this journal is almost creating a very helpful structured touch points and challenge questions, helping you, almost like having somebody talk to you as you go through it. I guess that's the idea of it, which sounds great.
And it's also empowering you to do it. It's telling you, here's the tools, but you need to put in the work because no one else can do it for you. Yeah.
And do you take that and obviously take your expertise in the context of organizations as well, beyond the sort of journal?
That is what I'm doing now. And yes, I've had a few companies reach out, and a few companies actually order the journals for their employees, which I think it's great, because now you're showing your employees that, listen, I care about you. I care about your well-being. I care about your mental health. And I want you to be well, because I know if you're well, you will do well, not just yourself, but also for the company. You'll achieve more. So yes, I'm working closer with companies now, and I'm really excited about that. I think we can make some really healthy and positive changes.
Brilliant. I mean, I think you've taken mindfulness, which I think we said just before we started, it can feel a bit airy fairy, people sort of humming and having sort of yoga and everything else.
You can do that too. That's your thing.
I know you can do that as well, but I think you say mindfulness and people think, oh, what's that about? It's actually, you made it really robust. You've got some really scientific stuff that backs it all up. And it really does build resilience, and you've got a very helpful tool that can do it, empower people right now to do it, and obviously organizations as well. I so appreciate you coming on, Rosemary, and fascinating conversation, and I'm really intrigued more, because I love it. I love talking about resilience, and I know mindfulness is one aspect, a big aspect of building it. So how can people get hold of you, get hold of this journal? What's the best way of doing that?
Well, you can get hold of me by simply emailing me at hello@mindmap.co. So that's MYndMap.co, C-O, not com, it's co. And you can check out my website, www.mindmap.co. I'm also on LinkedIn, so please connect with me. Like I said, I'm now opening up to businesses and companies. We can work together on how we can empower your employees, not just in terms of, get them to work more, but actually really care about them, their mental health, their well-being, because when they see benefits, you're going to get benefits as well. So do reach out to me if you have any questions. A lot of companies are also gifting the My Journal as a Christmas gift, which I think is a perfect. It's not just here's a diary, a blank diary, enjoy, but this is something that shows that you actually care, and you're giving back to them. So yes, that's how you can. We're in social media as well, and I look forward to connecting to a lot of you wonderful viewers.
Brilliant. Thank you very much, Rosemary. Thank you for coming on. And I'm sure people would have that as a gift for Christmas. That's a brilliant idea. Really good idea. I like that idea there. Thank you for coming on.
Thank you so much for having me. I really enjoyed having this conversation with you.
Excellent.